Okay, so now we are on topic number 4, which
Speaking
is
of concert,
great because we are talking about gigs. So
Mm.
perfect transition. We want to start first.
Go on, I'll go because it's I've covered a couple of them already. Really, the first one was Trick of the Tail, Genesis Glasgow Apollo, 9th of July, I think it was in 1976. Unforgettable. Springsteen touring the river. First time he came to the UK to tour Born to Run. Back in the day, didn't come back because, you know, if you followed Springsteen, you know he had legal difficulties back in the late 70s. And it was about 3 years before Darkness on the Edge of the Town was able to be released. And he came back to the UK for his first proper tour. And I saw him twice, once in Newcastle. And I in those days, and once in Birmingham. So I traveled 200 miles down to where I live now. But I always remember back in those days, I was seeing concerts at Newcastle City Hall. And the last bus home was about 11 p.m. And the concert venue used to always empty about 11:15. So people all scrambling for the last bus to wherever they lived around the city. And when Springsteen played in 81, we were still there at 12:15, and he was doing Rockin' All Over the World, you know, the Fogerty track. Status Quo did the cover, the famous cover. And everybody was still there, you know, everybody was still there. And people were just trying to walk home, get taxis or whatever. It was so memorable. It was absolutely incredible. And then I saw the other gig that is really meaningful to me, which is another classical one, is I got into Richard Wagner, and he did this 4-hour opera called Tristan and Isolde. That it's like four hours of kind of nothing until the climax at the end, and it's just fantastic. And I got into that piece of music, and I was desperate to see a live performance of it. And it was before our children were born. Me and my other half, I found a gig going on in Vienna. So we had a weekend in Vienna, ostensibly to see Tristan and Isolde at Vienna Opera House, and it was another great, unforgettable gig. And, you know, between all of those gigs, there's been countless others. I saw the Clash many times, the Police many times, U2 back in the early days, REM back in the Murmur Reckoning years, you know, and then just so many fantastic gigs.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult to me since you know, in a small city in the 90s, I don't have the same chains as you guys, but still, yeah, I can remember of 3 gigs. The very first time I saw Deep Purple in 2012, Blue Oyster Cult, they were opening, so it was a really good night. And the sound was very crap because it's Faovan. This is yeah, in Colmar. This is a like an exhibition for wine, and you know, the arena is very bad. But anyway, we don't pay that
I
much.
saw that tour in the UK.
Yeah, and yeah, 2012. So first time I got to see Deep Purple. So yeah, 2019, prior COVID, in a small venue in the same city of Colmar, got to see Uli Roth, former guitar player of Scorpions. Steve was talking about Scorpions in one of the video he posted earlier. Lonesome Crow has his first favorite Scorpions album. It doesn't play. Does he play on that one on Lonesome Crow?
who's that? Shanker?
No, Uli Roth.
No,
No.
Shanker leaves after the first
Yeah,
album.
yeah. They had 2 bands called the Dawn Road and the Scorpions, and they just merged together. But they were more people from Dawn Road, so they kept the name Scorpion since they already had an album out. And yeah, on Flight to the Rainbow, he played from Flight to the Rainbow up until Tokyo Tapes, the live album. Then he left, and yeah, I had chances to see him, and very friendly. I can Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Willie. Yep.
He sent me all the album in a very small. He play all that stuff solo. They were like 5 guitar player on a small stage, and they played yeah, you know, Fly to the Rainbow stuff, Virgin Killer, In Trance. Amazing memory. And the third one last year here in Montreal, Peter Gabriel. Finally, I got to see Peter Gabriel.
Yeah.
First part of the concert, the new album, dedicated new album, then the second part, all the classics. And yeah, when he were singing Don't Give Up, I literally cried. Yeah. So yeah. Steve?
Well, I mean, one that always has to stand out is your first big concert, you know. So because it's an all new experience, and my first was I was 16. I go to see Alice Cooper on the $1 Billion Babies tour.
Oh, great!
Which was, I mean, just fantastic. I mean, they're at their peak.
Yeah.
You know, commercially, musically, it was just incredible experience. And you know, I didn't even know what to expect because I'm thinking it's going to be Alice Cooper once the curtain comes down, but no, it's Flo and Eddie, who are the Turtles. Okay, they were the opening act. Okay, and so you know they're singing "Happy Together" and stuff like that. Eleanor, which are all great tunes, but you know I'm 16. I'm there to see Alice Cooper, so that would definitely be one of them. And this is always the conversation about, you know, your favorite concerts. A lot of it once again comes down to age, okay? Because I think I grew up in the best era to see live music, you know.
Yeah, really, yeah.
You know, from 70 to 80, I think that was the best stretch of recorded music. So I think the concerts are going to be the best. So like I think it was 76, I saw McCartney on the Venus and Mars, which became Wings Over America tour. That was great. I saw Led Zeppelin on the Physical Graffiti tour, and that was even before the album had come out. Chicago was one of the very first stops on that tour, and they're playing stuff, you know, you didn't even know. I saw Pink Floyd on the Animals tour, but I'll tell you one that's very memorable just because of it revolved around a vacation. Mott the Hoople had announced in 2009 that they were reuniting because of Buffin. He had dementia and he needed help financially. You know, and Ian Hunter had always, you know, had his foot on the ground saying, we're not getting back together, guys. But he decided they were going to do 5 nights at the Hammersmith. And so tickets went on sale at 3 in the morning here in Chicago. So I got up, set my alarm, got up. I got tickets for 2 of the 5 shows. So my wife and I, we went to London to see those shows. And so that would definitely be there just because of the whole experience. I mean, it was a great vacation. We split our time between London and Edinburgh. So it's just a great trip. And then I also saw AC/DC with Bon Scott in a bar in Chicago. Okay. Well, Chicago suburb. So, you know, I mean, at that point, obviously they hadn't made it yet in America. And I can remember, you know, Bon Scott hanging us up on his shoulders, you know, walking around that tiny little stage. And yeah, it was just a great experience to have seen a band like that in that setting. So like you said, Springsteen, first time I saw Springsteen too, David, was on the River Tour. Now I've seen him 43 times.
Oh, you're ahead of me. I think I'm about number 38 or 39.
Greatest performer I've ever seen. Yes.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Nobody can work a crowd like him. The guy just has incredible stamina. But kind of like you, I gave up on him post The Rising. I don't know if that's where you kind of jumped off musically, but I
think it was Western Stars finished it for me, really. And I know when he I'll tell you what it was. He toured the River again, maybe about 10, 12 years ago, and I thought it's a bit of a retread, and I thought I'm not going to go. But you know, the Wrecking Ball is an amazing album, Fantastic album. But yeah, he still, as I said, he still got it. He still got it.
Yeah. Oh, I would say one other big one I saw this was 75. I saw Rush and Kiss together in a high school gymnasium.
Oh,
Okay.
awesome.
75.
75, yeah.
Wow,
So,
one of the early concert.
yeah, it's the Fly By Night and Hotter Than Hell tours for two of them.
They started to be very, very big. Rush, they started as people thought they were like a Led Zeppelin cover. Yeah. On the first album
is a bit Zeppelin, isn't it?
That first album that's my first first discovering them was hearing the first album when it came out. That
Finding My Way
to this day is my favorite album by Rush, is their debut.
Yeah, it's still a great one with Working Man, which were played like highly rotation in this radio station and WMMS in Cleveland.
Yeah,
and people were phoning, "Hey, what's the new Led Zeppelin song?" No, it's a Canadian band, so they got bigger and bigger, and yeah, it's not my favorite one. It's not because I'm a prog nerd, so I can't say. It's a good one, Working Man and In the Mood, and it's
right.
Yeah, it's still a brilliant one.
But I just let me come in. I saw Bon Scott fronting AC/DC as well in about 1,000 capacity nightclub in Newcastle, and I seem to recall that he put Angus on his shoulders and walked around the audience.
He may have. I just don't remember. I know me and my buddy that went. We met a couple stewardesses that night, and we went out in between acts and got stoned in the parking lot. So there's some of it I probably don't remember.
Yeah, but Bon Scott, I mean, the whole persona, it was like really sleazy. You know, it was really like a dirty gig. You know, it was. And Brian Johnson, of course, who took his place. He was in front of a band called Geordie, which was
Geordie, yeah,
and that's what we are. We're called Geordies. But Romuald, you'll like this one. I missed this gig, and I forever regret it because as my old buddy when I was 16, he saw Mott the Hoople, who I love, and I didn't see them. I saw Ian Hunter on tour a couple of times, but the support act was Queen.
Yeah, that's when they did that's when they did on Broadway. They played when they were here.
Yeah,
Queen. Wow. Yeah.
Seven Seas of Ryan, all that stuff.
Yeah, I recently got into Mott the Hoople. Also, thanks to Michael Wrightsville. He has a great channel. He lives in Japan, originally from the US. And he often mentions that band, and recently get a hold of Wildlife.
Sorry, I was just going to say, was there a question about have we met anybody famous?
Yeah, Mike had asked that.
Mike asked, Mike, I have to go back in the comment.
I mean, I've met some just because of my line of work, but and then meet and greets. I mean, my favorite one was doing it with Alice Cooper. I don't know how well this will show up there. There's Alice strangling me. He couldn't have been nicer. He was very generous with his time. I think there were maybe just about 100 of us. I kind of counted the room to see. Thankfully, the friend of mine that I went with, we sat at one of the first tables when we walked in, and that's how they did it. They were just going from table to table, but he would spend like 5 minutes with each person. You'd sit up there. You could bring 3 items for him to autograph for you, and you talked a little bit. So it was a great experience.
I used to go backstage at Newcastle City Hall often. And so many famous bands, Genesis. I met Peter Gabriel a couple of times. Peter Hamill. If you're interested in prog, I don't know whether you know Peter Hamill, Van de Graaff Generator.
Yeah, of course.
Fantastic. Yeah. A really charming guy, really friendly guy as well. I met all the E Street Band, Boss Springsteen, back in the day. as well. And I think I did this video. Oh yeah, my 1978 video, best 20 albums of 1978. I recounted the story where I got into the Nebworth Festival the day before the gig, and saw and met Genesis doing soundcheck. Ended up on TV, albeit tiny, but it was amazing standing next to the guys. It was really great, really fantastic.
You made a video with a picture that you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, and I did meet.
I kind of
Steve Howe.
Say again.
I did meet Steve Howe in a hotel corridor, just briefly.
He seems to be. I mean, I know there's a couple of channels. I'm not sure they're in the vinyl community, but they do the music stuff. And there's a couple of guys who have interviewed Steve Howe, and he seems a really, really friendly guy. Really nice.
Yeah, I would say he's a reluctant rock star.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think he, clamors for that kind of fame. I mean, he was nice, but it almost too seemed like he was uncomfortable being recognized. I mean, I just talked to him for 30 seconds. That was it. And
I don't know about you guys, but back in the day, I was super excited to meet these famous people. They lived in a completely different world. But right now, I think for years now, if I met somebody famous, I just wouldn't bother them. I just say hi and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be fantastic to have dinner or have a beer with a few of these artists, where no one's watching the clock. It would be great. But just a queue for a meet and greets and that sort of thing. Nah. Let them get on with their life. Their job is to provide us with product that we can enjoy and thrill us and enthuse us. And it's not to be sociable. So I'm quite cool with just saying hi and bye.
Yeah, they just make so much money from that now, because they're not selling albums. So I mean, they make their money from the meet and greets and the merch. So
yeah.